Thank you for the opportunity to present my proposal. I'm really excited about this project because it brings together some things that have been central to my work for decades. The use of industrial and recycled materials in sculpture, storytelling through sculpture, and a deep connection to place here in Oregon, my home state and birthplace. What I'm proposing is a piece that honors the workers at CityFleet, reflects Portland's identity, and connects that work to the natural systems that support the city. The core of my proposal is a large scale sockeye salmon, 16 feet long. Salmon live in the Willamette River right next to Swan Island, and for me, they represent something very powerful. They're a constant presence across time. They've existed here through indigenous history, industrial shipbuilding, and now modern city infrastructure. So I'm using the salmon as a witness and a carrier of meaning. On its back is a stylized Portland skyline with downtown buildings, recognizable landmarks, and bridges being carried and supported. And inside the body, there's a cutaway view that reveals what's normally hidden, a sequence of vehicles and mechanical systems that represent the work CityFleet does every day. So, this sculpture is really doing two things at once. From a distance, it reads clearly and iconically as a giant sockeye salmon. And up close, it reveals a deeper story about labor, infrastructure, and interdependence. This proposal is fully grounded in my long term artistic practice and reflects decades of sustained material and conceptual investigations. I have explored salmon imagery in my sculpture for many years across multiple scales and mediums, including public work. And then I've also done a lot of work with miniature architectural environments that are similar to the buildings proposed on the back of the salmon for over 15 years. I've also worked with mechanical and found objects, repurposed mechanical parts for more than 30 years. These combined practices directly inform the visual language and construction approach of this proposal. I also have a well established history of creating and installing public artworks in places around the U.S. that have been so well received by the communities and the people that they were made for. I'm really proud of this part of my portfolio. In this sculpture placed in Wenatchee, Washington's main park, I had the opportunity to work with tribal leaders from the Pisquosa tribe to represent their last chief, John Harmelt. It was a real honor to get to work so closely with the tribe to help depict a hero of theirs and help them feel visibility in their community. And it really showed me one of the potentials of public art to give a voice to people who feel underseen. With 30 years of fabrication experience and working with communities to create permanent public art, I feel very confident in my ability to carry out the project I'm proposing. One of the most important things in any public art project is considering who the primary audience is. The project for CityFleet is not a downtown plaza, it's a working environment. The people who will see the sculpture every day are the mechanics, drivers, and staff at CityFleet. So I designed this piece to honor their work in a direct and tangible way. The cutaway interior makes visible what is usually invisible, the systems and labor that keep the city running. And beyond that, I wanted to create an opportunity for actual participation. If selected, I would invite mechanical staff to contribute meaningful objects, tools, parts, or materials from their work. These could be incorporated directly into the sculpture, so the final piece becomes not just about them, but partly made by them. That kind of connection can turn a public artwork into something people genuinely feel ownership of. Within the three main components of my proposal, the salmon, the cityscape, and the mechanical interior, there are design options that we could explore if I were selected as the artist to get this commission. We could emphasize the shipbuilding history of Swan Island with designs such as a riveted surface of the salmon or a portal, all of which are really visually dynamic options to explore. And I love working with stakeholders to figure out what will best work for the environment where the sculpture is going to be. There's also a larger story happening in the piece. Portland exists where it does because of the Willamette River, and that river has supported salmon for thousands of years. The sculpture reflects a balance between built systems and natural systems. The life cycle of the salmon also becomes a metaphor for transition, and that ties directly to what CityFleet is doing right now. Inside the sculpture is a line of vehicles from early transportation of a native person in a dugout canoe to a 1920s era street sweeper moving into vehicles of the 1940s that would have been part of CityFleet, a 1950s, 60s era bulldozer front loader, current model EV Leaf car, a more futuristic, sort of all purpose public works vehicle, and right into the future, imagining things we have not seen yet. In terms of sighting, Zone 2 is a great fit for this concept. The sculpture is scaled to be highly visible from the street in a fast moving car with a strong silhouette. At the same time, it's positioned where people can approach it on foot from either side, so the smaller details and craftsmanship reward closer viewing and curiosity. This is an intentional contrast of scale: large, bold forms for visibility, intricate details for discovery. This combination tends to create a piece that people return to and continue noticing new things in, and creates a dynamic tension that is really attractive in public art. In terms of execution, this sculpture is very much within my wheelhouse. The committee is familiar with my portfolio by this time and my previous public art projects, which are a similar scale or in some cases quite a bit larger. The sculpture would be primarily fabricated from Core 10 steel for the main body of the salmon, stainless steel for the cityscape, bronze cast elements for the vehicles, and reclaimed mechanical parts integrated throughout. These are all proven durable materials for public art, especially in Portland's climate. Structurally, the piece will be engineered to meet all requirements, including wind and seismic considerations. I'll work with a licensed structural engineer to ensure full compliance. I have extensive experience fabricating, transporting, and installing large-scale work, and I've consistently completed projects on time and within budget. So while the concept is ambitious, the methods and materials are very grounded and reliable in my previous experience. For lighting, we talked about the possibility of the sculpture being lit, and that would be very desirable since the facility is open 24 hours a day in some cases, to make it illuminated and let people be able to see it in the dark. I would use LED lighting in places inside the sculpture, such as to light up the interior cutaway and in some of the buildings, and then ground lights to spotlight the whole thing. In closing, this proposal is about making the invisible visible, recognizing the essential work of CityFleet and connecting it to Portland's identity and placing it within a larger story about sustainability and change. It's a piece that's designed to be visually strong, deeply meaningful to its primary audience, and built to last. Thank you again for this opportunity. I would love to bring this project to life. I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have.